My name is Greg Merricle. For those that don't know, I've been around for long enough that I probably know everybody, or you know me at least. I've been here long enough to stop saying I'm Matt Campbell, but nobody ever forgets Matt Campbell. I have been in the wastewater industry with EGLE for about 22 years. I did 18 years with Water Resource Division, the biosolids program. So, I come from I have a long track record of working with wastewater land application type things. I also worked in the CAFO program, so I'm familiar with all the manure requirements, stuff like that. About 5 years ago, I jumped ship from Water Resource Division, which I would recommend. If you work for Water Resource Division, you should jump ship. And came over to drinking water, where I took over for Matt Campbell. So that does it for who I am and where I came from. And now comes an apology. This material I'm going to show you is boring. And just for the record, I did not come up with this idea for this presentation. You guys did, or somebody did, but it wasn't me. So we're gonna suffer through it together. It's gonna suck. But I think you guys are probably used to sucky jobs, right? All right, so I'm going to talk about EGLE, or what our IT people call MiEHDWIS, which is awful in its own right. But before we talk about EGLE, we got to talk about what we used to have. And what we used to have was this. And for anybody that doesn't know, this is called an Access database. It's made by Microsoft a long time ago, like 30, 40 years maybe, Microsoft. So to put that in terms, Access has been around since the time you used to put like cardboard punch cards into computers to enter data, right? That's old. It's old. So the way Access works is it's essentially, I forgot my old slide. It's essentially just a stack of different spreadsheets. So you guys are probably all familiar with Excel, right? Do your bills, maybe your payments and stuff, keep track of them in Excel. Probably not, but it's basically just a stack of Excel spreadsheets that has a front end that looks kind of fancy, like that kind of fancy form I just showed you. And the problem with Excel, or Access rather, is that it's, like I said, old. And Microsoft stopped supporting it like 25 years ago, right? So the state's been using it without Microsoft support from 25 years ago to about 4 years ago when we brought EGLE into the fold. So, like I said, it's no longer supported from Microsoft. So our own IT department, DTMB, which we like to call dumb, they supported Access for us. And it didn't go very well. There were lots of scares where we almost lost our entire database. And the way Access works is, like I said, it's just like a stack of Excel spreadsheets. It was on what we call our S drive, which every state employee has access to. And it was called the Septage _ SP2QL database, right? And you could open it up and there was a password. It was password protected. And that password was Septage. So my point is, anybody could access it. Anybody could guess the password. And anybody could go in there. And because of the way that all worked, there was no record of who did what to the data. So in addition to being very buggy and crashy and prone to self-implosion, I guess is the best way to describe it. It was also very unsecure, right? So, and it did nothing. It was just a stack of spreadsheets. The only data in there was the data we put in there. It had no automatic functions. Okay, so I've beat that dead horse. So again, this is what it looked like, and I don't know if you can see it very well. So there's those tabs at the top. You could get to different things. There, at the bottom, there's arrows. You could go literally from the first license hauler to the second license hauler to the third license hauler. And it included everybody that was current, active, or inactive. Anybody that's ever had a license. So this first entry is inactive. They didn't have a license. So like I said, old, unsupported, and then finally DTMB said, look, we're sick and tired of wasting our time, putting duct tape on this database of yours. You guys need to do something different. And right about that time, we came into some federal dollars to upgrade the state's IT system. So that's what we did. And there's a lot of good things that come with EGLE, but there's a lot of bad things too. And so I'm going to start with what the bad things are, I think. Let's see. So when I log in to my state computer in the morning, this is what I see. This is called My Login. And for me, it's pretty easy to get a My Login account because, it's part of my job and they just give it to me. And it's secure and I have passwords. I have to enter like 4 different passwords in my computer every morning in different locations and then put secret passwords in a certain location, and then it spits out a numerical password that I have to copy and paste into another password location. It's ridiculous, but that's state security. And it's meant to be that, if anybody were to take our computers, they're basically a useless brick. They don't have access to anything unless they know all those passwords and all those procedures. So this is what my login, after I do all that password stuff, this is what my login access. This is, everything I need to do for work, this is here. And down at the bottom is where I have access to EGLE. So if I do all my login stuff, go to my login, I have a link to EGLE. Click that link and it goes right to EGLE. And this is what it looks like. And this is actually an old screenshot because I made this presentation for 2 years ago, I think, and then EGLE's updated since then. Which is actually, that's probably, I shouldn't have said that. EGLE gets updated about every 2 weeks, it seems. And some of the changes are minute and you don't notice them, and some of them are huge and change everything. But this is what we call our dashboard. This is what I see in the morning. I can monitor all my field guys. I know how many active haulers we have, how many vehicles. I can see how many inspections need to be done for the year still, all kinds of stuff. And I guess the best way to describe this is it's truly a database. It truly uses the data, and I can perform statistics on the data. I can, slice and dice it. I can search for whatever I want, and it actually does things for us. And I'll try to remember to talk about that a little bit later, but I want to move on. So this is the more modern version. I took this screenshot yesterday. So this is EGLE as of yesterday. And you can see I have more cards on my dashboard. And I don't know if you paid attention, but the buttons on the left have changed. Things have gotten a little more complicated for us. Again, this is all internal stuff. You guys won't see quite anything like this yet. It has gotten more complicated and it's gotten a little less intuitive, but I guess I have to back up a tad here. The Septage program was the first program involved in developing EGLE. So I think when we hired an IT firm called KLNA. They came and they looked at all the programs that we were going to put in EGLE, and I think they chose Septage because it was the smallest, simplest program. So they were like, let's start with these guys and put them in the system first, and then, we'll build from there. So for the first year, Matt and myself pretty much worked probably 50% of our time on this program. And so we were like the big cheese, if you will. We got what we wanted, we got it the way we wanted it, and that was that. And so after that first year, then when they started bringing in other programs, the Septage portion of the program was largely complete for internal users. They started bringing in like swimming pools and campgrounds and drinking water and well construction and all that stuff. And as they did, slowly changes had to be made to accommodate those other programs, and then those changes kind of trickled into our program and required us to do things differently. So at first we built it and we were like, yeah, it's exactly what we want, you know. And now it's kind of like, well, you guys aren't going to like this, but we're going to, you know, we have to make this change for this obscure little reason for this other program, and you know, you're just going to have to make it work. So that's kind of where we're at now. We're just kind of, you know, every 2 weeks when the changes come out, we kind of wince and go, okay, what'd they do to us this time, you know? And that's what we're doing. We're living with it. So again, more cards. So if I'm going to search for a hauler, this, you know, I can do an entity search. Actually, the entity search is no longer, that's one of the things that changed. Now I can do a specific septic hauler search or a septic waste receiving facility search, whatever I need, but there's specific search buttons now. But this is kind of a similar idea. It just comes up. I can search by a whole bunch of different things. And I don't know if I showed it, but the bottom looks, oh yeah, I think I might have. Let's go to the next slide and see. So yeah, the bottom has the search button. So you can search by whatever you want. You can change those fields to about 20 different fields if you wanted to search for things that aren't listed in those 5. So it's pretty cool. I can search by county, which haulers operate in a county. I can search by which haulers land apply. I can search by which haulers have DBAs. I can search by which hauler is owned by John. I can't remember who I talked to, but his name was John. Let's search for haulers, you know, owned by John. So it's pretty cool. I couldn't do any of that stuff in the Access database. This is kind of, when you perform a search, you get a list of the haulers that meet that search criteria. And so then you can sort through. Let's see. This is what the search criteria looks like today. This was a screenshot I took yesterday. So it's changed a little bit. You can see that there's a septic hauler search up there instead of the entity search on the left side. You know, just same but different. I can search for activity searches. Now you guys probably don't know what activities are, but we and Matt do know what activities are, and that's what basically everything you do in EGLE is an activity. Like your vehicle license is an activity, our inspections are an activity, your business license is an activity. So it's just another, like it's hard to explain when you look at it every day for 4 years. But there's basically, you have the physical thing that is permitted, and then you have the paperwork process that permits the physical thing. And so we have to keep track of the physical thing, but we also have to keep track of the paperwork process, and that's what the activity does. It keeps track of the paperwork process. Let's see. Of course, we can search for activities, who they're assigned to, who's responsible for it. We can search for how far along in the process they are. We can search for, are they close to meeting the statutory deadlines or running into the statutory deadline? You guys know we have statutory deadlines to process your applications? No? We do. And if we don't meet those deadlines, we get in trouble. Let's see. Tasks, those are kind of like if someone has an activity assigned to them and they want to break it up into pieces, they can assign themselves tasks that have separate due dates. So like an activity might say, okay, I've got this new vehicle application that I have to process through to the license issuance, right? And part of that might be contact the health department, have them do an inspection and report back to us. So we could assign the health department a task, which will notify them that they have to go inspect the vehicle. And then we can assign ourselves a task that says, hey, make sure I have that inspection back in 2 weeks. So it pops back up in 2 weeks and says, hey, you're supposed to have this inspection from you know, that health department. So it does a lot of that stuff automatically if you set it up, kind of like dominoes. You know, if you set up the dominoes, they'll fall automatically. The old database, Access database, didn't do any of that stuff. Again, it was just a record, a stack of spreadsheets. Let's see, contact search, this is kind of what I was talking about. I can search by a hauler's first name, last name. I can search, you know, county health department staff, anything. Now, the submission portal. This is kind of what I see when I go to the submission portal. And it's unfortunately this one's empty because I did it at a time when I didn't have anything in the submission portal. It was brand new. So I'm not sure what your submission portal looks like, honestly, because I haven't seen it externally in a long time, not since testing. So when we did testing, we would have external accounts and internal accounts, and you'd have to go through and you know, go through the motions of everything that we needed to do, but you don't need to know all that. So the submission queue is the things that come in through the submission portal. So if you guys go into the submission portal and submit something, it comes into the submission queue, and currently Matt Rockhold has to go in and go, oh, that's a septic thing, and pull it out of the submission queue and put it into the database in its proper location. Let's see. So my submissions would be like if you submitted something through the submission portal, maybe you submitted 3 vehicles and a new land site. They would be sitting in here in your submissions so that you could look at them and you could see the process, you know, where they're at in the process and stuff. But that's down the road. I don't know if I have a good place to talk about what the reality of it is right now. Maybe this is the place. So how many people have put anything into the submission portal at this point? Okay, a couple, all right. Was it enjoyable? No. It's easy, but did it do anything for you? Did it do anything for you? Was it additive? Did it?
It is nice that once I submit it, I can see.
Okay.
That I can see where the process is. You know, if it's pending, if it's been seen, or.
Okay.
And it does keep a history of
Yep.
all the reports that I've submitted, so I can always go back and look at it that way.
Okay. So how it functions right now, did you guys hear what she said? It keeps a history of what she's done. She can see what she submitted, where it's at in the process. So that's great, but it's not as great as we intend it to be. So right now, the submission portal functions a whole lot like just attaching what you want to send us to an email and hitting send and then asking us if we got it, right? That's pretty much what the submission portal does at this point. But in the very near future, hopefully, the submission portal is going to get much, much better. You guys are going to have you're going to have an actual login to the system that's going to grant you access to the entire thing. So you'll be able to submit stuff through the submission portal, and you'll be able to, like for instance, say you want to submit a new vehicle. You submit a new vehicle through the submission portal, and instead of going into the submission queue, it will go right to your hauler entity account. So it would go right to your hauler entity. You would be able to upload any documentation you needed. You would be able to pay the fee because it will link to MyCars, and you'll be able to pay the fee. And then you'll be able to see every step in the process. Okay, EGLE has accepted it. EGLE has requested the inspection from the county health department. You'll be able to see that it's been assigned to someone at the county health department. You'll be able to, at any time, there's a communication box, basically like email system, at the bottom of the submission portal, and you'll be able to communicate with EGLE staff assigned and health departments staff assigned in real time, just by logging into EDI. So once we assign it to the health department, you'll see their name pop up. You'll be able to write a note in there that says, hey, I don't actually have the vehicle yet. I'll have it on Tuesday. Can we schedule the inspection sometime after Tuesday? You know, and the health department will go, that works great for us. We'll be there, you know, Wednesday morning. How's that? You know, so all of that communication can happen without picking up your phone and calling these people. But you have to have a login to EGLE, which is in itself, you know, a bit tedious, but we'll get there. We intend it to be much more functional, is the point I'm trying to make, and we're not there yet. Let's see. One cool thing about EGLE is the old database, the Access database, we didn't have any documents in there. We didn't have, you couldn't save your cropping plans in there. We couldn't save your, you know, your actual applications. Everything was saved in paper files. So the new database, we get everything electronically. I should back up there. If you sent it to us over email, we literally printed it off and then put it in a paper file. How stupid is that, right? The state, man. That's we were using a 50-year-old database. So now we get an electronic application. We can like literally click on it from the email and drag it and dump it into EGLE, into this little box, and puts it right where it needs to go, records the date it was received, all that stuff. And I don't know, I'm skipping some stuff because I feel like we went over it in other slides. Let's see. Here's a better place to show you the submission portal with stuff actually in it. My bad, or the queue, actually, the submission queue, I mean. Let's see. Search for a vehicle. So this is a hauler, McConnell and Scully. You can see their details. You can see their active vehicles. This is just an example of all the stuff that EGLE does for us that our old database did not. So you can, you know, there's a lot of stuff all interconnected that tells the whole story of what's going on with every hauler, with every land application site, with every vehicle. And it's just very, very useful for internal users. And what we're trying to do now is make it as useful as possible to the health departments and to you guys. So one of the things I mentioned was all the security precautions that I have to go through even as a state employee using state equipment to access EGLE. And this is one of the things that I think is most bothersome for you guys and for health departments is you're going to have to do the same, you're going to have to jump through the same security hoops that we do. Not quite as bad, but you'll have to, and the people that have used the submissions, you know this already, you have to have a MiLogin account. And so what MiLogin does is it associates your authorization to access things with your email address and your password. So you'll give them your email address, you'll set up your password, and they'll send you an email to that email address, and with a link in it, you click on that link and enter your password, and you'll end up with a MiLogin account. The MiLogin account is what gives you authorizations to then log into EGLE. So you have to create a MiLogin account, which is like a 3 to 5 day process. And then when you log into EGLE, it should be almost immediate, like within hours, you'll get the approval to log into EGLE. So why is it such a pain? Because the state has rules about who can access state equipment and databases, and there's a lot of security rules that use what's called dual factor authentication, which is why they email you the link instead of just saying, okay, you can log in now. It's all about verifying who you are and that you are who you said you were, and that you should actually have access to the things you're asking for access to. And it's a process. I won't deny it. Once you get in, it's pretty cool. Except if you only get in once a year. If you're the kind of person that will only get into this database once a year to monkey around, maybe at renewal time or to do your annual cropping plan, you're going to find it annoying because you're going to log in and it's going to say all your passwords need to be changed. And so then you're going to spend, several hours changing all your passwords. And the reason for that is because the passwords last 90 days. If you haven't used a password for 90 days, it's kaput. So now you're going to log in, you're going to try to use your old password, and it's going to go, oh, no, this isn't right. So now you're going to have to go through the whole dual factor authentication thing where you change your password, it's going to send you an email with a link and all that jargon. But if you, yes.
Are you slowly explaining to us that it's going to get worse instead of better?
So I'm trying to show you what the reality is going to be. It is a pain to get through the My Login thing. And then like the 90-day password, and they're complicated passwords. It requires, one capital, one lowercase, at least one letter, at least one number, at least one special character. It's that kind of, they have to be between 12 and 18 characters. And there's requirements. It's a pain. And you can't use the same password for like the next 25 passwords. So it keeps track of all of your passwords. That's what I'm telling you. It's difficult to get through this My Login thing. But once you do, the payoff is...
That if you don't use it all the time, which some smaller companies ain't going to use it all the time, you're going to have to do it every year.
Once you're in,
Start putting things in envelopes and send them.
once you're in, you're in. It's just like if you don't go in and change your password before that 90 days is up, then you're going to have to do they're going to have to send you an email and you're going to have a link to click on. Yeah. So our goal is to get it to where you guys, instead of picking up the phone to call us or email us, you might log into EGLE and see the status of things for yourselves. So, and that would help. And the goal there is, if you get good at it, if you go in more than 4 times a year, you won't have that problem. If you only go in once or twice a year, it's probably going to be annoying. But it's not that hard. They will send you an email with a link in it. You click on the link, you verify that that's who you are. Yeah, to some people. True. All of this My Login, I want to say bad words, is not us. This is the state doing this. We would not like it to be this way, but it has to be this way. Yep. So, okay, we're moving on from this. It's getting too stressful up here. Let's see. We're skipping stuff again, I think. So this is all stuff that's trying to show you what it's going to look like, or we hope it's going to look like when you have full access to the submission queue. So you'll be able to actually click on the things you submit. See, there's the message box at the bottom where you'll be able to send messages back and forth. It'll have, like health department staff assigned, EGLE staff assigned. You'll be able to send, Matt Rockhold an email and say, hey, what's the status on this? I haven't seen the status change in 4 days, and he'll get back to you and say, be patient. It's you submitted it on Friday, it's Monday, that kind of thing. Let's see. So like I said, this is a boring presentation. It's not great to look at screenshots from an imaginary database at this point, which is exactly what this is. And I think the take home is that we are trying to make this database do a lot of work for us. Now, how many of you guys have seen like a renewal packet lately? Anybody? Yes. Was it blank when you got it? You haven't opened it?
Too stressful.
This is a great opportunity. You should open the mail we send you right away.
We're just waiting. We want to send it all at one time.
Yeah. So if you had gotten something from us, the renewal packet, for instance, that you had opened and taken a look at, you would notice that it was mostly probably 99% filled out for you. You don't have to list your vehicles anymore because they're listed there. You don't have to put in your address and phone numbers and email addresses because it's all filled out for you. So that's one of the things that Eddie's doing behind the scenes, is all that stuff is filled out for you. It's pre-populated when we send it to you. So I don't know if that was a huge pain in the butt for you guys. I imagine it was, given that is good news. That's the point. So, you know, I guess I would look at it like my login is like going to the dentist. You don't want to do it, but if you do it, you know, your teeth will last you hopefully till you die. And that's what my login is. You get through the my login, and hopefully Eddie will have some service offered that benefits you and your business. Let's see. I'm nearly done here. This is our website. If you go to the, you know, this, I always plug the state website, michigan.gov/EGLE takes you to our website. If you scroll down to the bottom, there's a whole big thing about MiEHDWIS on there. And it talks about, you know, there's like a tutorial about the My Login thing. So it does sort of try to explain it and how it works and what you need to do and give you the process for getting your My Login approval and then your Eddie account. And there's a cool video on here. And I say cool video kind of as a joke. It is not cool. But it does sort of, they are constantly putting training on here for Eddie and updates and stuff, and it'll tell you kind of what's going on with Eddie. So you could certainly go take a look at that. It might be more interesting than this presentation, to be honest. But, you know, I warned you guys. So again, if you follow links to the MiEHDWIS stuff, it will take you to another website that shows you what MiEHDWIS is and how to get an account and how to get a MyLogin account first. And oddly enough, it talks about it backwards. It says get a MiEHDWIS account and then get a MyLogin account. I assure you it's the other way around. You have to get a MyLogin account first. But that's essentially my presentation in a nutshell. And I don't know how I'm doing on time. Not terrible. Do we have any questions? Is there anything I missed? I do have a question. We have a microphone. This presentation, for some reason, is being recorded. So we'd like to get the questions on the camera, apparently. Do we have a question?
I can speak pretty loud.
I could repeat the question, too.
If you're on the system a fair amount and you're using your passwords all the time, do they renew 90 days anyways, or?
Yes.
Or
So when you're on the system constantly, when you approach the 90-day, so the question was, do your passwords renew every 90 days even if you're on the system all the time? And the answer is yes. As you approach the 90 days, you'll get a notice that says, hey, your password expires in 15 days. Your password expires in 12 days. Your password expires in 9 days. And it's something you have to dismiss every time you go past that to log in. And so those are prompts to change your password. And if you change your password, it's like, boom, password's changed. So you don't have all that email and link that you have to click to change the password. It just changes the password. Yes. That was what I was trying to say. Apparently I didn't do a great job. If you're in Eddie regularly, it's much easier. Yep. But if you're one of those guys that's going to go in every 6 months or every year, you're going to be like, why is it like this every time? It's not easy.
Right, it's not broken, it's the way it's designed.
Right. Right. It's not broken, it's the way it's designed.
Why can't you change the extension on that 90 days, make it 120 days? Why can't you do that?
So I've worked for the state for 23 years, and we've been trying to get some things changed for 23 years, and we've had zero success.
You gotta be a go-getter, make it happen.
Well, you have to know some legislators. You have to know some legislators that like you. The state is very unchanging, shall we say. Yeah, it's a different, state government is a different, I mean, you guys make fun of us, and there's good reasons for that. But we are stuck in the same system that you guys complain about. So, you know, when you do make fun of us, most of the time we're like, yeah, he gets it, they get it. Anything else? Any other questions? I mean, this is...
Thanks for being there and explaining it to us, and thanks for helping streamline the system as much as you can for us. It's appreciated.
We try. I know, you know, there's the old joke that, hey, we're with the government and we're here to help. And I truly believe that the septage program staff has that mentality. You know, we aren't trying to make it difficult for you guys to do business. We're trying to make it easy for you guys to do business. And that's part of the reason why, you know, we wanted a new database that does things that the old database never could, like pre-populate the stuff we send you for renewals, for instance, or, you know, connect through EGLE to the payment system. That's going to be a big one. I mean, honestly, you know, sending us a paper check at this point for a new vehicle, that's the slowest part of the process. Because when you send us a paper check, we are literally waiting for that paper check in the mail before we process your application any further. Now, the funny thing, I really want to blow your mind, that paper check gets sent to MDOT. MDOT processes our paper check for us. So your whole application with a paper check gets sent to MDOT. MDOT opens it up, pulls the paper check out. They do their database stuff to enter the check into the right bank account, which they often don't get right. So then they send us the application. So that's actually in a building across the street from us in a giant safe in the basement where they handle all the checks. Then they send all the applications to us across the street, and it winds up in our mailroom in our basement where it, you know, hangs around for a few days. Then it comes up to our floor where it hangs out in our mailroom for a few days until it, you know, gets processed. People are doing things, date stamping, all that stuff. And then it finally comes to us. So that's, you know, sometimes, especially since COVID, that might take 2 weeks to get all that done, right? So the database is meant to allow you to submit a new vehicle application instantly, with payment instantly. And we could assign it to a health department to do the vehicle inspection instantly. You know, like electrons travel a lot faster than the mail carriers do, right? So, yes, the state's weird, does things a very strange way, but you're not going to change it. This is our best. I keep pointing up here like Eddie's back there. It's not. But Eddie is our best opportunity to streamline these things for you guys. All right, clear as mud, right? I do have, let's see if my internet connection is still alive. I wanted to show you that here's the live database. I'm not in my office. I'm standing in Mount Pleasant in a casino, and here is the live database. And I can see that Rob up in the UP has 15 things on his to-do list. Jeff Antil has 17. Ken, who's back there being lazy doing nothing, 19 things. What's wrong, Ken? You got 19. You got more than anybody else. But we got 330 active haulers, you know, 1,087 vehicles, land application sites, 130, 79 receiving facilities. I don't have any activities because I don't really do anything. I don't even need a list. I just need a little count right there for my 0. And then vehicles not yet inspected. That's wrong. It shouldn't be 0. I got to redo that search. But that should be a list of all of the 1,087 vehicles that haven't received their annual inspection yet. But I don't think I've changed it to 2023. It's still showing for 2022. So it still says 0. But I'm not real worried about it now. I'll get a little more worried about it in June or July probably. But yeah, I can do all this stuff. Oh, one thing I forgot. We can track CSEs in here now. So if you earn 10 CSEs today and tomorrow, you can send us those certificates. You can put them in the submission portal, or you can send them over email, and we will track your CSEs. Let's see if I can find somebody that's got one. So I go into my search, and oh, it's working faster now. So let's go to Scott's. We'll take it around. So I put in Scott, and it came up with 4 haulers that have Scott in the name. Scott's Enterprises. So this is what it's going to look like. Wow, you can't see. That's no good. Why can't you see that? Hang on, I got to kill this. Nobody said anything either.
This is gonna make life easier, right?
So she asked if this was going to make life easier, and it definitely does. Our old database was essentially useless. I mean, straight up useless. And this is way better. There's all kinds of information in here. So you can see Scott's has 90 CSEs right now. So we're tracking CSEs.
Can you make that screen? You should be able to make it larger.
Yeah, let me see.
On the upper right-hand corner. Should have a full screen.
No, I got a zoom. I don't know how to do it without my mouse. I don't have my mouse attached. So another thing I should mention is that EDDIE is designed to work on cell phones. It's designed to work on like portable, like iPads and stuff like that. Tablets, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It's designed to work on all those devices. And the idea is that I can be out in the field and enter my inspection information. Health departments will be able to enter their inspections right in the field. If they come to your site to do a vehicle inspection, they're going to be able to upload that inspection while they're looking at your truck. So theoretically, this should really grease the skids on getting things done quickly. So gone are the days where you have to submit a vehicle application, a month and a half before you actually have the vehicle, so that we can get the payment and line up the inspections by the time you have the vehicle.
People will be in compliance more now.
Yeah, compliance, assistance, that's our goal. That's exactly. We want to make it easy. Want to make it easy to be in compliance. We want to take away any incentive to do things outside the the scope of what's approvable. So yeah, that's EDDIE in a nutshell, and I think I've successfully extended my presentation to the end time.
It's a miracle.
Yeah. Well, I'll be around all day. Matt's here, and Ken from the east side of the state is here. He's our new Ebby. He's got the same haircut. So if you guys are on the east side of the state and want to meet Ken, and you haven't done that yet, you can pin him down, give him grief. Any other questions? I'm going to turn this thing off. Oh, we got one.
The paper that you just sent around, why couldn't you submit that into our credits?
Well, that's a good question. So,
We have proof that everyone's here. That way too.
because it would take me 3 hours to type all those in, but part of for an entity to be able to give us to earn credits, to offer credits for you guys to earn, part of that requirement is that they have to keep track of who earned them, and then they have to provide you with certificates that you can submit to us, and then they also have to be prepared to verify that information if we contact them. So they're keeping records of who attended so that they can send you certificates of your attendance that you'll send to us, and then if we question and ask them to verify, they'll be able to verify. So that's how that works. And then, yes, so the way it previously worked, if you're unfamiliar, when you renew after your first 5 years or any term of your 5-year term of your license, when you renew your license, you have to send us proof that you took 30 credits during that previous 5 years, right? And so the way it worked is, in the past, you would just keep all those certificates, and then when you sent your renewal in, you would send those in with the 30 credits. And then, it works great if you have a good filing system and you keep your 30 credits in that filing system in a place where you can access it, and if your shop doesn't burn down, which has happened. We've had a couple of haulers over the years who've lost their shops, and all their credits were in the shop and burned down. So now, if you earn the credits this weekend, you can email them to us, next week, and you don't have to worry about saving that credit information any longer, because we'll have it. And then if you have an account in MiEHDWIS, and you can log in and make sure we recorded it properly. And that's kind of what I'm talking about, is if you guys get comfortable with it and you get to using it and you get in there, more than 4 times a year, it becomes easier. Is that it? Anybody else? No? All right. That's it. Turn this thing off.